Tamil Nadu is not a state that does hung assembly. It's a state that has been consecutively voting decisively either in favor of one party or in favor of one coalition. This time, this election has been extraordinary in many ways, and one of that is the fact that there has been a hung assembly in Tamil Nadu, with Vijay's TVK emerging as the single largest party, but short just a little bit of getting a simple majority. I'm being joined by Shabbir Ahmed, our senior editor and Tamil Nadu bureau chief, to break this down quickly on what TVK's options now are to make sure that they cross that halfway mark and form the government. Shabbir, quickly, before we get into what are the options, what do you think led to this hung assembly in the first place?
See, one of the reasons is because TVK was expecting that they will comfortably cross the majority mark. But in some areas, it appears that the coalition that the AIADMK had built, it helped them in gaining some seats, particularly in the northern regions of Tamil Nadu, where the AIADMK has performed very well. Whereas historically speaking, the AIADMK's best performance comes from the western regions of Tamil Nadu. But in this case, they are performing very well in the northern regions of Tamil Nadu. That is, the reason is because of an alliance with the PMK. So that is where the AIADMK is getting the numbers. And also on the other hand, TVK did not get enough numbers from the southern regions of Tamil Nadu. So that is also one aspect where the party is finding it difficult. The best performance of TVK comes from the northern regions of Tamil Nadu. So they are just like waiting, hovering around the number. In many constituencies, the contest is very close because the margin between the first player and the second second candidate is between 1,000 to 5,000. So that is the level of the margin that we are seeing in at least 60 constituencies is what reports suggest. So anything can happen is what what we are getting to hear at this moment. So we will still have to wait and see whether TVK is able to comfortably cross the majority mark.
We're recording this video at 6:10 on the day of counting, so the numbers are still firming up. They're still shaping up. But at this point, just to put the numbers out there, 234 is the total strength of the Tamil Nadu Assembly, which means that the halfway mark to be able to form the government is 118. At this point, according to the Election Commission numbers, TVK has 109. Which means that they need another 9 to 10 MLAs to form the government. Now, their first option, of course, would be to look at smaller parties so that they continue to hold control, and with 2 or 3 parties that they can form a coalition government. We understand that the Congress has been in talks with the TVK for at least 2 to 3 days now. At this point, Congress is at 5 seats. And if that gets added to the tally of 109 of TVK, that brings the total up to 114. Now, the Congress, of course, which is in coalition with the DMK, is looking to walk out because, one, they think that it's important for them to be in alliance in in one of the bigger states. But more importantly, they think that with this, they also have a chance of reviving their party, which so far has been backing on DMK. They think that because TVK is a new party, Congress will be allowed to grow on the grassroots. If that number comes up, then what are the other options? Shabbir, let's assume Congress is 5, and if 109 of TVK holds, what are the other 2 to 3 parties that they can look at to cross the halfway mark?
The other option is PMK, which has at least 5 seats. They are leading in 5 seats. If the PMK number holds, then probably there is a fair chance that PMK may also join hands with TVK. To just give you an insight into why PMK and Vijay combo may work is because of one man, John Arogyasamy, who is the strategist for TVK chief Vijay. And earlier he was a strategist for Anbumani Ramadas. Remember the slogan in 2021 Assembly elections, Matram Munnetram Anbumani? He was the one who coined that campaign. He was the one who was running that campaign for Anbumani Ramadas. So already there has been some kind of talks that were going on between the PMK and the TVK just before AIADMK formed up the alliances. Now there is a complete change in scenario. So probably the PMK may look out for that option, and TVK would be in need of numbers. So PMK is one option. Another option that I'm hearing from my sources is that the left parties are also looking out to somehow reach out to TVK. In fact, there has been discussions that has been going on in the left circles that the party underestimated the performance of TVK, and now I think there is a chance that if you want to keep BJP at bay, then probably a new anti-BJP front can emerge, which will be led by TVK. So I think that is one of the reasons why the CPI and the CPM are having a second thought as far as things are concerned. And IUML is also leading in 2 seats. So probably IUML may also take a call, because before elections, IUML was the first political party to firm up its alliance with the DMK. So I think now if they want to be a part of the cabinet, or already Vijay has promised that it will be a coalition government. So he's ready to accommodate people. So I think that will be the factor that will work out in Vijay's favor if he is not getting the required numbers to form the government. So I think that will be the current scenario. Now the time is 6:15, the time that we are recording this video. Tamilaga Vettri is leading in 83 seats, and DMK is leading in 52 seats, and AIADMK is leading in 38 seats. The margin is very, very thin. So anything can happen in these seats. So I think we should still have to wait for some more time. But still, these are the options that are now available in front of TVK.
So Shabbir, just to summarize, so this, if let's assume that the number stands at 109, and 9 to 10 seats are what TVK are looking at. So if it is PMK plus Congress, that's 5 plus 5, and that takes them over 180. Now, just to, like Shabbir was mentioning, IUML is another party that could switch over. IUML currently is at 2. In Kerala, IUML is part of UDF, which is led by the Congress. So Congress plus IUML plus CPI, which is at 2, plus CPIM, which is at 2 again, brings it to a total of 11 seats right there in that coalition. So if all of these 4 parties decide to abandon the SPA, that is the DMK-led alliance, and move over to TVK, that will take them over to 120. That is one combination. But Shabbir, if we are looking at VCK, which is right now leading in one constituency, PMK and VCK cannot come together because of their own caste equations, right?
Now it depends. It's completely solely the discretion of TVK chief Vijay if he wants to accommodate VCK or if he doesn't want to do that, because what I'm hearing from TVK is they have kept all their options open at this moment, because they are still looking at the numbers. The numbers, like you said, are still firming up. There is no clarity, because it's a close contest. So they are expecting some more clarity on what will be the final numbers. In some places, the counting is the counting is going on in a very slow pace. So I think they are patiently waiting for the numbers to look up. So if there is a shortage of seats, probably the TVK chief may decide on accommodating VCK as well. Like the PMK has more numbers than the VCK. So I think the VCK will also be in a position to do some kind of a compromise. All that we have to wait and see.
Right.
But here the options are open for all political parties. I wouldn't say that the options are open for only for TVK, but I would say the options are open for PMK, Congress, IUML, CPI, CPM, because everybody is looking at a different kind of a scenario now. Well, the one thing is that all Congress or CPI or IUML, all they want is one word from TVK chief Vijay, that he is not going to do any kind of compromise as far as the BJP is concerned. If that is going to be the basis, then I see that there will be some kind of understanding and an alliance will be forged, and a post-poll alliance could be possible. But we should still wait for the final numbers so that there will be some kind of decisive action. Like
of course,
you said,
all of these conversations can go forward, Shabbir, only if all of these parties are they have an understanding that TVK and BJP will not come together, barring perhaps PMK, which is already in an alliance with the BJP. Let's quickly look at the second possible scenario. If this is not possible, then what are the chances of TVK aligning with ADMK, possibly giving outside support? Now, one, is that a possibility? Two, if that, because we have reported how there were pre-poll alliance talks between EPS and Vijay, that of course didn't fructify for whatever reasons, which we will not get into right now. But if there is supposed to be an external outside support from ADMK, would that have to be only on the condition that they will break away from the NDA, break away from BJP? Is that a precondition, Shabbir?
Well, that is most likely the precondition, because Vijay's party is not going to align with the BJP. They have been clear from the beginning, because even when they were under tremendous pressure from the BJP and from a lot of people from within their party, TVK chief was very clear that he did not want to align with the BJP, because that will damage his prospects, the party's survival. And he wants to, he wants to ensure that the party has a strong footing in Tamil Nadu. He is going, like, the thought process within TVK is that they are going to replace one of the Dravidian parties in Tamil Nadu. So they are going to have an iron hold on Tamil Nadu. So I think that's the roadmap that the TVK is looking at in future. So if at all they align with the BJP, or if they are part of an alliance where BJP plays a major role, then that is going to be detrimental for the TVK. So the TVK does not want that they don't want that option to be explored at the moment. What I'm hearing from TVK is that they will look out for parties like PMK, Congress, and other smaller parties, so that they can build a coalition. And if the AIADMK is willing to give outside support, then it also becomes very difficult for AIADMK, because they would want the chief ministership. At least the AIADMK would demand that 2.5 years TVK will have the chief ministership, and 2.5 years AIADMK will have the chief ministership. So I think that is going to be one major problem. So at the moment, the TVK will try to firm up its numbers by reaching out to smaller parties, if in case they fall short of a majority. But if they cross the majority mark, then probably they can bring in a few more parties. They can come up with some kind of understanding, and they can have a coalition government, because just to ensure that the numbers are not so close. Because at any moment, there is this threat that is looming large. The BJP may try to upset the apple cart any moment. Like, you never know what the BJP will do 1 year from now or 2 years from now. So I think they would want to play it safe if they are in, like, if they manage to get smaller parties together, and if they cross the 120 mark or 122 mark, probably that will be the safest thing for the TVK to do at the moment, instead of looking out for an partner like AIADMK, which would demand a greater share.
Formula, Shabbir, has historically not worked out in most of the states, and it's highly unlikely that Vijay would even accept something like that, given the gap between numbers of TVK and AIADMK. So I think that would be a distant dream for EPS. Now, before we wrap, very quickly, this is the question. The plank on which Vijay campaigned and came to power with as many numbers as he has is change, Matram. Now, do you think aligning with the same players who've been there as part of the ecosystem will dent that message in any way?
See, I think TVK has become the single largest party. So they have clearly got the majority of the mandate on their side. So people have chosen TVK to lead, the government. So I think aligning with parties like, PMK or Congress, that wouldn't make much of a difference, because at the end of the day, people who have supported TVK, they would want Vijay to be seen as the chief minister, Vijay to become the chief minister of Tamil Nadu. So I think all these things become a very marginal issues as far as things are concerned. But
right.
What I would say is that as far as Vijay is concerned, Vijay wants to have a government where the majority of the cabinet members will be from his party. And he will be accommodating Congress, PMK if they are willing to do that. And Congress or for the PMK, they wouldn't get any chance to be a part of any government if they were aligning with Dravidian parties. So the one thing that I'm constantly hearing from people from Congress or from VCK or from PMK or from other political parties is that all these parties underestimated Vijay and they missed a golden opportunity. If all these smaller parties were on Vijay's side, probably the momentum would have been on Vijay's side, and Vijay could have ended up in a landslide victory. So probably this victory would have been bigger if he had an alliance with the smaller parties. But nevertheless, now it's come to a position where he would require the support of smaller parties, and the smaller parties would also be desperate to be a part of the government, because this opportunity Congress will not get from DMK. This opportunity of being in a coalition government, PMK would not get in an AIADMK alliance. So I think there is still room for this kind of maneuvering. So I think those kind of understandings will come together, and I think something will work out for these smaller parties, and TVK will be open to it, is what I feel.
So from what we've picked up from Congress, they're not looking to get anything except a foot in the door. They're not going to even bargain for any kind of portfolio. And how can they with just 5 seats that they could at best bring to the table? We'll leave it at that for now. Thank you so much for joining us. And a quick reminder before we wrap up that we've been with you covering all 5 states, that's Puducherry, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Assam and West Bengal. We've had reporters on the ground, all of which has been powered by you. But remember, the story in Tamil Nadu is not over. A government is yet to be formed, even as Kerala and Puducherry are headed towards a more decisive mandate. Tamil Nadu remains slightly uncertain. We will be with you with unbiased coverage till the government forms and beyond. Thank you for watching, but continue supporting the election coverage of the News Minute and News Laundry.